Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at build ideas for your survival worlds. So the first thing you want to do when deciding to build something is to decide on the theme or the vibe you're going for. I did a video on this a couple weeks ago now, and it's just a really important step in sort of setting the tone for your build. Here I'm going with like a grungy dystopian steampunk style, but you could choose something like cottagecore or fantasy or steampunk like I've got here, or a Mediterranean style, or you could go for medieval styles. And those styles might have like signature builds. Like for steampunk, it's almost definitely like a steampunk clock, or it has like with like more classic steampunk styles, it'd be more of the propellers generating energy. Or if you're doing like a cottagecore theme, then it might be like greenhouses or like cottages. You want to think about what style you're building in, and then what are the key buildings for that style for people to really recognize it and go, oh, that's steampunk. Or what are the key like build palettes that you could go with if there's no signature build. You don't have to restrict yourself to just these major builds that are very recognizable, but it's a good place to start because then you can sort of develop the style and what you want to sort of go for with that build and with that area from those key builds that you want to build. So I haven't made many key builds here. I've made a factory, but which is sort of getting there, but I'm working up to building the main builds. So I'm sort of making like smaller like cottages as if you were living on the edge of like a steampunk city, and then as I go more that way, I'm going to build more signature builds, so factories and towers and banks and all of those lovely things. The next thing you want to think about the buildings. So you're probably not going to build an entire city at once. So think about the specific building that you want to build first. What's the purpose of that building? Because obviously you're in a survival world. What are you going to use this building for? So like this building, for example, I used as my starter house, and I've got my mine in there. So it doesn't really need to be personalized for that, but it did need a big wall to put my furnaces on. And this building, this is my storage facility room. So this build it's just sort of like a generic build, but it needs high ceilings because I have a lot of barrels up here. And they didn't really influence what my build was tailored to. Like if I was building in like a farmhouse cottagecore style, I might make a stable if I was making a house for if I wanted to make a building for horses. But even so, you need to think about the purpose of it. Or if you don't have a purpose for it, think about like the backstory of the build. Why is that build there? What possible reasoning could you give for that build being there? See, I've made this factory, but it's got bees inside, and the reasoning, or like the hypothetical reasoning for the bees being there, is that there is a secret laboratory inside it that has bees and all of these things, and it's just added so much character to the build, and I've been able to tailor the build around it and be more creative because we've got a sludge lake here because the factory is pumping out sludge. If you think about why the building is there, you can really start to make some improvements to your building because you have some sort of a backstory or purpose to work on. And then of course you need to think about what you want the build to look like. So what is the building that you are going to be building? Are you going to be building a cottage? Are you going to be building a skyscraper? Are you going to be building a mansion? Are you going to be building a castle? You could build a tower with like a water wheel tower, or you could build so many different things. What are you building? what is the specific build that you're building. and how will it influence the blocks that you choose. So here I've just built like a small like shack, and these are just sort of normal buildings. They're quite square, but for this one I wanted to make it like a very steampunky high roofed thing. And over here I wanted to build a factory, which is different to everything else. So some ideas for this would be, you could build a boat, you could build a cave, like a cave for you to live in. You could build like fancy entrances to your mines. You could build a train station with a train. You could build your utopia, whatever that is for you. And like your utopian builds, your ideal house or your ideal city. And then finally, when you're building new builds, try something new. If you're happy with like the style you've chosen and like in your area, like you've already started a style, then you don't need to start a new style just because. You could just make more builds within that style that are a variation of what you've been doing before. Like here, I am using bricks, which I haven't used basically at all except for just a little bit up there. But I'm deciding to use a new block in this style because I think it will be fun and I think it will challenge me. I'm not doing it for any particular reason, but I wanted to build a building for this, and I think bricks just really suit it. You could also improve your builds with more shapes, for example circles or arches. New block palettes like I've done here. The only block that I'm actually bringing in from the rest of this is a grayscale. You could move to a different biome if you wanted and continue that style there. For example, like I'm in a birch forest now, but I could go into like a dark oak and I could show like the environmental destruction that's happening because of this, which is my lore. This is the lore. It's not like, it's canon lore, but like nobody's following along. But yeah, I could follow like this lore into the forest and adapt it to the forest, because I'm not just going to tear down the forest, because that's mean. But I could incorporate this style into the forest, and that would be a really cool challenge. You could also like improve your builds by like incorporating greenery or something else that you don't usually put in. Maybe you could put in like a pitched roof, or maybe you could put in a flat roof. Maybe you could try and make the top of a apartment building sort of vibe, like the top of a multi-story building with a flat roof and like a staircase to get up to it and like aircon vents, and like really detail that area. Just add something that you haven't added before. Pay more attention to detail. Make your builds the best that they can be. I've done videos before where I show you how to improve your previous builds, and I will link them up in the cards. And finally, if you're stuck, Google some builds in your style. I'm sure you'll find plenty of things out there that will really inspire you to keep going. I just watch YouTube videos, and whenever I see something that's done in a cool way, I screenshot it, and then I come back to it later when I'm in the mood to build, and honestly, it's so good. So to reiterate, think about the build style that you want to build in. Try something new. Try a new style that you haven't tried before. I'm trying steampunk here, and it's really fun. Think about the buildings. What particular buildings do you want to make? Do you want to make like a factory? Do you want to make an apartment building? Do you want to make a cottage? Do you want to make just like a normal like standalone house? What build do you want to make? Do you want to make a storefront? And think about trying something new. Try a new build palette. Try new shapes. Try new settings. And try more different things. If you did enjoy, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment if this video helped you. I'll see you next week with another video.